Welcome back to the JCPod, part number Stare Down Sports. Stare Down Greatness. Man, it's about that time. It's officially 98. We're officially into the double digits. We are 98 days away from NFL Week 1. And wow, 98 days away from NFL Week 1. Truly feels crazy that we're already to that point. So you know what that pretty much means. It's about time for some breakdowns, people. So today, gonna be very simple, man. I won't lie to you. I spent most of this week preparing. So today, we're just gonna go over some NFL news. There's some small stuff to talk about. Go over some college football news because they have some awesome stuff. Like, for example, the Hall of Fame is not gonna have a change in voting, so that's gonna be awesome to talk about. And then we got some other small stuff like that. And then I'll end it with pretty much the plan for June and July. Because believe it or not, it's time for basically some breakdowns, people. And man, it's time for go over some futures. All that jazz. So we'll get to that point at the end. But like I said, basically just want to talk a little bit about some NFL news, college football news. Just basically spread around some stuff that we might have missed coming in from last week. Because obviously I didn't have a show Tuesday because I've been prepping for these breakdowns and future bets and all that. But just want to come on today, talk a little bit of NFL news, college football news, and then like I said, at the end I'll basically explain my plans for what we're going to do for the breakdowns when it comes to everything college football and NFL football. The first thing I want to talk about is the Stephon Diggs issues. So apparently Mike Vrabel he came out Wednesday and he basically said that he's aware of the video about Stephon Diggs. And he said any conversations that I've had with Stephon will remain between him, I, and the club, he said. But there was optional practice that Stephon Diggs was not at, which makes sense because honestly Stephon Diggs is still healing from surgery on his knee. So it sounds like he'll be probably ready to go by week 4, maybe. Slight bit earlier than that, but I think all plans have made it kind of sound like he's going to come back for week 4. But Mike Vrabel came out and basically said it's something that we're aware of. Obviously, we want to make great decisions on and off the field. The message will be the same for all of our players that we're trying to make great decisions. So basically, all this comes from just the fact that it basically looked like a girl had some of that crystal. I don't want to say that crystal meth, that cocaine. Looked like she basically had some like actual hardcore drugs. I think that was a big issue that I think their NFL and a lot of those people are going to have when you come to the video. Because honestly, if you look at it, it's a professional athlete hanging out with women on a boat. Not much to come from that. You can let it be from its own. But then if you look at the video a little bit longer, there's a little baggy. I think a lot of people are just like, that boy got meth on him. Or that boy got crack cocaine. That boy got that heroin. Like, I think there's a lot of stuff that's been coming out. So yeah, it's just going to be something to keep an eye on, obviously. It's just, what do you know? Another offseason, another Stephon Diggs story. I mean, this is like the 3rd or 4th year in a row now where there's been some like semi-big Stephon Diggs story in the news where it's like, last year or 2 years ago, it's like, oh, I'm not a fan of my, I think he's actually decently fine in Houston. But yeah, in Buffalo 2 years ago, he's kind of like, yeah, I wish I got a little bit more touches. It's whatever, though. Hopefully I'll get more this year. Kind of stuff like that. Basically, I'm not going to lie to you. It's just he's leaving a real trail behind of just not so good. What's the word to describe it? Situations, probably the best way to put it. Not so good situations. Stephon Diggs seems to find himself in a lot of those. And it just makes me laugh because I just thought it got re-popped back up in my memory and everything. The video from him on the Vikings, and everyone's like, who would you least like to date your daughter? And everyone's like, Stephon Diggs. You know? I'm starting to kind of understand it potentially a bit just because of, like I said, nothing against him, man. There's just been a lot of wild stuff that's been going on, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that situation. I just don't know what's going to, I don't know what's going to come from this, so we're just going to keep an eye on it. Like I said, he's not supposed to be back anyway until like week 4, I believe, because of the knee injury. So, I mean, there's a chance, obviously, if he heals quickly, he might come back a little bit sooner, but that's just something, like I said, we're 98 days from week 1, so we got something to talk about, right? Mark Andrews basically come out and he's talked a little bit more ever since the playoff drop, the trade rumors, all that stuff. He's kind of come out and talked about that a little bit more. He went, it's tough. This is my life. I put a lot of work into this. Everything I do, everything I think about, is what I focus on. So it wasn't the way that I planned it, but that's all part of the story. I've been using it, and I've had an incredible offseason. Besides the show that I can continue to do, let me rephrase that. I'm excited to show what I can continue to do and continue to prove myself and step up in big moments. That's the thing about sports. It doesn't always fall your way. It doesn't always go your way, but it's how you bounce back. Very, very true point. I don't know what's going to happen with the whole Mark Andrews thing, but it's just tough, man. Because there's so much jobs that a tight end has to do. I mean, they have to pass catch, they have to run block, they have to, you know what, pass catch, pass protect. I mean, run block. I mean, there's so much that goes into a tight end's job. And honestly, it's just one of those things where it really sucks. Let's be honest. If any of us were in that moment, that's just a horrible moment to live in. I mean, especially, I'm just trying to think. Obviously, I'm not trying to compare myself to Mark Andrews in a divisional round NFL playoff game, but I mean, it's one of those like that's a really like gut dropping feeling of just like that moment of the game's over. I mean, because basically once that drop happens, it's like, man, I lost this. I mean, even if I didn't lose this the game per se, like that was our only chance to win, and it's over now. I mean, that is a horrendous feeling of just knowing like, damn, it's over. Because I mean, I won't. Like I said, this is nothing compared to it, but I've mentioned on the show a lot of times, I've dealt with shoulder issues my whole life, mainly just because I honestly think it was caused from baseball, because I used to do a lot of sliding head first in baseball when I was younger, and I don't know if that caused, I mean, I played a lot of sports too growing up, so I mean, it could have been basketball, could have been football, could have been baseball, like I said, but it was just one of those things where it's like, like I said, knowing like when the moment's done, it was... I think it's my first game sophomore year, the day before my birthday. There was a game where it was, who was it? Blue team, Lawrence Tech? I think it was Lawrence Tech, but I was a sophomore, like I said. This was my first game action as a collegiate player, so I was really excited. I'll admit, they weren't the best of teams. I think we ended up beating them like 40-something to 10. I mean, we blew them out. It was bad. But, I mean, they weren't the best of teams, so it was like one of those things where it's like, cool, I'm going to get some game action, all that. So the first I basically played and made it like 3 or 4 snaps, my shoulder popped out of place, popped back in. So I'm like, that's gonna that really hurt. That's gonna be an issue. Happened again a little bit, like not even like a play or two later, and then what the final buzzer what did it? Like I think I played a total of 15 plays this game, and all this happened kind of in basically I want to say first half. It was horrible, but basically the third one I won't lie to you, absolutely got to shit by a running back. Thought I played it nice. Did not nearly play it nice at all. He basically drove straight into my knees. Like I said, I thought I played it nice. Was able to duck him to the side. Was not able to do that nearly as well as I thought I was. So he basically was able to kind of up under me a little bit. Landed right on my shoulder. Instantly it popped out. And it was one of those slow ones that popped back in. And with how long I lay on the ground, it was one of those ones like that. When that one popped out and how long that took back in, it was like fuck, that's gonna be a problem. Like I said, I'm not trying to compare it to the Mark Andrews situation, but just like it's one of those moments where you sit there and it's like, yeah, there's no way that's going to be good. And then, sure enough, come to learn, torn labrum, need surgery, really, really bad. But it's just one of those moments where you sit there and you're just like, damn, that was not ideal. That's going to be a real fucking issue. Like, damn, that's it, huh? Because basically, like, I won't lie to you. Like, once they said, like, we can't put you back in, it's already popped out multiple times. Like, basically, I'm standing there silent, like, damn, I'm pretty sure my season's fucking over. And like I said, I lost my whole sophomore season to recovering from a torn labrum. He tore it September, well, I mean, it was torn for way ahead of time, but September 7th is basically when it happened. Didn't get surgery until like late October. Nuked my season. But like I said, so that's like one of the similar situations Mark Andrews where it's like, damn. And like, mind you, like and then I've thought about that moment for basically the whole time I was rehabbing and everything. That's moments, like that's going to be one of those things like Mark Andrews is going to remember the rest of his life. It was like, it's very similar to like kind of the Duke Houston situation as well, when Duke blew the game against Houston. And now, like, and they really could have had a real chance to go to the national championship, maybe even win. So now, for the rest of his life, for example, like Cooper Flagg, he's gonna have to think about, like, damn, I didn't make that shot to get us a chance. But like, it's one of those very sports moments that's gonna live forever. Like, I think whenever we think of Mark Andrews, like, way years from now, like, unless like they said that Ravens are able to move on and make something that's gonna be one of the bigger what ifs of, man, what if Mark Andrews caught that ball against the Bills? Because I mean, we saw what happened to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm not going to say it was wide open for everyone, but there might have been a chance. But regardless, it's nice to see they moved on from it. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with this Mark Andrews situation, because he is an older player, and he did have, like, you know, it's great. He had a personal best 11 touchdowns. But he just had, like, it was one of the one moment. Nobody talked about his career-setting touchdowns last year. They talk about the drop. Jalen Ramsey has come out and said a new chapter awaits. That's all. basically, what does that mean? Do we think that Jalen Ramsey is going to be a Dolphin? Does that mean a new chapter in the Dolphins, a new chapter outside of the Dolphins? At this point, I do kind of think they're probably going to move on from him, especially if they could. I don't know financially if that's. Like, I can't remember off the top of my head if financially they'd gain from trading him or if this is just a need to move on point. But I think Jalen Ramsey's kind of that point in his career now, too, where we're going to see him. Hopefully he goes to some winners, man, because I remember seeing him on the Jags in his prime when it's like, man, this guy's going to be, like, really, really good. End up playing really good for the Rams. Now it's just like, man, I don't want to say rotting away on the Dolphins, but it's just tough. I mean, that whole Dolphins team's a mess, too. Like, it goes way beyond. It goes way beyond just like Jalen Ramsey. Like the Dolphins basically are like in a hole. They're like best way to put it is looming rebuild. Because I don't know how much better they truly can get. I don't think Tua's the guy to lead them forward. I think he's a good quarterback, top 15 for sure. I just don't know if he's going to be the guy that leads them to the playoffs. So it's just like, man, they have a lot to figure out. They have a Tyreek Hill situation too. So there's just a lot going on with the Dolphins. So like we said, Mark Andrews is a guy you might want to keep an eye on to see. Like I would think something would definitely happen between Jalen Ramsey and Tyreek Hill before Mark Andrews, because I think at this point Mark Andrews is probably going to play out his contract with the Ravens. Maybe if anything, get traded the last year of it. When it comes to Jalen Ramsey, I really don't know, man. Like we could see him. I really don't know. That's one of those ones where it's like I've been hearing all this stuff in the offseason. I truly don't. I wouldn't be shocked if he stayed with the Dolphins, but my guess is he's probably going to move on. Von Miller wants to play in 2025, but he doesn't expect to come with the Broncos. I would love to be there, but I hope. Wait. He had a charity event, apparently honoring the Super Bowl 50 team, and apparently Week 7. Shout out to Demaryius Thomas, by the way. Week 7, they are going to announce him going into the Ring of Honor, which is really, really awesome. So, like, I just want to bring that shout out to him, but he said, yeah. Okay. So Week 7, there's a Week 7 game with the Giants. That, like I said, that's when they're going to retire Demaryius Thomas jersey, or put him in the Ring of Honor. I'm a mess, man. And then so apparently people were asking kind of Von Miller his thoughts on playing and all that. He says, I hope not to be there unless I'm playing for the Giants or the Broncos. And so basically pretty much like him saying like he wants to play. Von Miller wants to play again. I'd be very interested to see. I think he'd be a great veteran leader for damn near any team, honestly. I think it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know how much he's going to add to you playing-wise. Like, I don't know how many snaps he's going to be out there, like, setting the edge. Sorry, I don't know why I said stopping. Setting the edge. You know, I don't know if he's going to put up, like, a 12, 13, 15 sack season, but I think that he would be definitely, like, really good at worst veteran leadership roles, able to help young guys, teach them how to get through the season and all that. I think that'd be a very, very valuable thing for teams. Like, I won't lie to you. I'd love for him to come to the Colts with how some of their pass rushers are. I think it'd be a huge help to get a guy in there who'd like to have won a Super Bowl, help with the culture as well. Not only help with the culture, get these young guys moving along as well. But like I said, look for, I don't know who would be a great fit for Von Miller. I think basically any team that has some young pass rushers that could really, really use the veteran leadership like that, they're probably on a good chance to win. So, Buffalo Bills. But no, like, I won't lie to you. The Giants wouldn't be they aren't anywhere near to win, but that'd be a good room to have, like, a veteran leader in, especially with Bill Carter coming in. But we'll have to see, man. I think if Eagles got him, I think that'd be a great addition to them, but I don't think they're going to need him, let's be honest. Harbaugh came out. He said cutting ties with Tucker was a complex decision for the Ravens, which obviously makes sense because of the whole complex decision-making process, and I'm part of it. With him talking about it's definitely between the owners and executive vice president. You're talking about arguably the best kicker in the history of the game, and like I said, it's multi-layered, it's complicated, but at the end it all comes back to what you have done, what you have to do to get ready for your team and to play the first game. I think if you step back and take a look at all the issues and ramifications, you can understand what we've got our football team ready, and we've got to have a kicker ready to go. Which I won't lie to you. I mean, it's not a shocker that all the stuff comes out from Justin Tucker, and he also has one of the worst kicking seasons he's ever had in his career. He still leads the NFL all-time record. I think I posted an article about it today. It's like 89%. I think it's 89 point something percent. But, I mean, he kicked like 73%, I think, last year. Only made like 2 of his like 8 50-yarders. I mean, it was not a good year for Justin Tucker at all. There would be one thing, like you said, if he was just getting old, had a bad year, I don't think they would have officially made this move. I think they probably still would have brought help in to like motivate him to be like, come on, you gotta prove to us that we can still keep you. But I think a lot of the stuff that's coming with the masseuses and the massage therapists, all that stuff, I think between that and having a really bad year, I mean, it made it really simple for them. They say it's complicated, but I think it was a little bit more simple than they're making it. I mean, obviously, like you said, or like Harbaugh said, it's the best kicker, arguably maybe the best kicker in the history of the NFL. But when he's coming off a career worst year, there's no other way to put it. He's coming off a career worst year, and he has some very, very, very serious allegations if they're true. I mean, this is the point where, like, if these allegations are true, I mean, we're looking at a potential Deshaun Watson situation where he sits out for a full year, maybe even 2, if he's even allowed to come back. Like I said, I don't know if any of these allegations are true or anything like that. This has been going on for multiple months now, and so yeah, it makes sense that they got rid of him. And then on top of that, they drafted a kicker. So then it's just like, okay, they basically have everything they need. It's just a matter of, hey, basically it's just going to come down to, can this new kicker be as good as Justin Tucker? Probably not, but if he can be at least somewhat better than what Justin Tucker was last year, I think the Ravens will take it. Tyreek Hill came out and said he's hopeful to prove himself after a disappointing season. He had a lot of injuries, a lot of other BS. It would make sense, and I'd be curious to see if they're going to keep him on the Dolphins, or if they end up trading him maybe mid-season or moves on. Malik Neighbors says he's going to be limited at teams' OTAs. I don't even know how much he's going to do there. Apparently the team's taking extra precautions because he's dealing with a toe injury that he's had since LSU, that's something where immediately you're like, oh shit, that's going to be... You don't like to hear those words since, and then it's like since LSU is like a... If it's truly like turf toe, and he's had turf toe the whole season, that's pretty impressive. So I'm very curious. I just want them to come out and basically say what exactly this toe injury is. Because like I said, if he played all last year with dealing with the turf toe, that's really impressive. Shout out to homie, because that's unbelievable. But if they said he's been dealing with the toe issue since LSU, you would think he'd be able to manage it. But hopefully they're able to find something where it's like, maybe it's like the way he's cutting, because they have so much technology now. Maybe they're like, hey, the way you're cutting is causing this much pressure on your feet. Maybe if we cut this way, we can avoid it. One of those situations. But yeah, just know Malik Neighbors is going to be limited to OTAs, but it doesn't sound like he's going to miss time as of right now, obviously. But it's just something to keep an eye on, because like I said, if they say it's a toe injury since LSU, that could pop up at any time, and he's a wide receiver, which is a lot of cutting and running. Cohen said for OTAs that Travis Hunter won't practice with both units on the same day, which makes sense. You don't want to run him into the ground very early, but at the same time, I like how they're at least playing on both sides. He said that we won't put him in that situation, have him do all that, although I'm sure he'd probably want to do it. Like I said, I think they should just, I don't want to say throw him into the deep end right away, but they kind of should, because I've made this point multiple times. I don't know how long he's going to be a Jaguar. That's the biggest point of them all. I don't know how long he's willing to be a Jaguar. I would assume, unless the Jaguars start winning, I just assume that anybody who's a Jaguar, unless you're like a big name guy, you're willing to get on out of there and try to win somewhere else. But regardless, you would think he's getting, if anything, he's just going to get older and more hurt. So I personally would try to throw him in as much as you can when he's young. But like, this makes a lot of sense. It is 98 days to week 1. He really doesn't need to be playing both sides of the ball in the same day. Now, I'd maybe like last day, or, second to last day. I would do it maybe once. If it was me, I'd maybe try it one day where it's like, hey, but I'm not saying like run all the plays. Like, so say he runs like 50 plays of offense one day, 50 plays of defense another day, something like that. I'd be like, hey, today you're going to run 20 on offense, 20 on defense. Just take 10 off completely, and we're going to see just how you do. And instead of running your normal, like, 50 you do like that every day, we're going to do 20 on offense, 20 on defense, just see how it is. Let us know how you feel. Like, I think they should definitely do this now just to see how it works at an NFL level. Now, obviously, it's going to be different as training camp comes along, as we get into the preseason, as we get into the NFL season. But it definitely, I don't think, would hurt to try to get him out there as much as you can. But OTAs, I'm not gonna rip on him for doing that. Kind of makes sense. Terry Bradsshaw's come out and he's ripped the Steelers for their pursuit of Aaron Rodgers and everything that's been going on with it. I'm not going to really go into it. I just want to bring it up. But I just think the reason I want to bring it up is because I just think it's funny because him, and now I've seen something with him. I've seen something with Joy Taylor. All these people just coming out and just blasting him. It's like, My biggest thing is, like, he's not even signed to the team. Like, don't get me wrong. All signs kind of point towards it's probably going to be Aaron Rodgers. He's also 41, so it makes sense that he probably doesn't want to go to OTAs. But just the fact that everyone's kind of just, like, bad. Now, don't get me wrong. They bring up some decent points, like, yes, he could spend time with teammates. Yes, he could do this. Yes, he could do that. But I also think he made it clear he didn't want to go to OTA. So just to hear all this, it's just funny. Because it's like he's not even with the team. It just goes to show you that the Aaron Rodgers media drama, just no matter where it's at, it's going to find a way to get flowing. And I have a buddy who literally said he would rather have Mason. It's funny. We've joked about it all offseason, so I honestly want it to happen. He does not want Will Howard or Aaron Rodgers at all. Originally, he didn't want either of them because we made the jokes before the draft. I'm like, you're going to get Will Howard. He's like, I'd want anybody else but Will Howard. And this is a personal thing. I don't think it has anything to do with football. I just don't think he wants the guy there. But he's like, at this point, screw it. I'll take Mason Rudolph. And then now he's kind of coming around a little bit more. It's like, I'll take Mason Rudolph and Will Howard, I guess. But this is funny because we joked about Will Howard and Aaron Rodgers, the two people we didn't want most being to the Steelers. And it's kind of looking like that's actually what's going to happen, along with Mason Rudolph being there. But obviously, as of right now, Mason Rudolph's the one. The Steelers' quarterback situation is going to be one to keep an eye on just because what are we going to get from that? There's just so much that could happen, and we just aren't going to know. And, I mean, as we get closer to NFL season, I mean, as of right now, I guess we had to assume that Mason Rudolph is a starter, which I won't lie to you. That win total, I'm almost debating, like, because I won't lie to you, we probably have to save the Steelers for later because we don't know for sure who their quarterback's going to be. But when it comes to breaking down teams, I'm about to double check right now because I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm very tempted to. I also need them to fix the win totals. This book just absolutely messed them up, so they're a little bit harder to read because they took out. I think they took out the even numbers. Yeah, they took out all the even numbers. But I am very interested in the Steelers. Like if Aaron Rodgers joins their team, does the win total over/under change? Does it go lower? Does it go higher? Because as of right now, like this team, they took away all their odd ones. They have 6. They have 8.5. Over/under 8.5 is plus 125. Under 8.5 is minus 145. They still have them. Like if Aaron Rodgers joins, does that flip? And now all of a sudden, them to win 8 games is minus 145. Unders 8. Like that's my biggest thing with the Steelers. I'm very curious to see how that's going to change. Because I won't lie to you, prop wise, future wise, I don't think I want to take most of their players just because I think there's going to be a lot of volatility. But we're going to see. Because that's Steeler. I mean, that's really, really. I don't want to say Aaron Rodgers could swing on 1 or 2 wins, but I definitely think over Mason Rudolph he could. Jamar Chase has come out and said he's willing to change the preseason. Sounds like we need to play in the preseason. Jamar Chase said after Owen. I mean, because they start off their seasons horrible. I mean, they have the first 3 seasons. Excuse me, I misspoke it. So they started 0-2 in 2022 and 2023. Last year, they barely played the top players in the preseason. Helped them out. They went 1-4. So, no, he's basically just come out. I mean, I agree with him. I think the Bengals need to do something to change. Did they come out? I won't lie to you. They started off so bad last year that they basically had 0 chance to make the playoffs, and Joe Burrow put up an MVP season. It's just bad, man. They just got to get themselves figured out, man. Their slow starts are what killed them most of these seasons. I mean, don't get me wrong. Their defense needs a lot of help, and they can. We'll see. I mean, they're spending some money this year. They usually don't spend money, so the fact that they were willing to spend money is like, hey, okay, we'd like to see that. Now we need to just see some changes with, like I said, some of those situations. But I guess we'll see if they do any changes. But you would think they might play a few extra guys in the preseason. We'll have to see, though. Like I said. Don't need to talk about that. Apparently, Mike Evans said Baker Mayfield influenced his decision to stay with the Buccaneers, which is awesome for Baker then. Shout out to Baker. I'm trying to find the quote. Huge impact. He's a big reason as to why I came back to injury, and that's what brought me to Tampa after Tom left. That's some huge shoes to fill, a huge act to follow. I think he's done an unbelievable job winning 2 division championships and making the postseason. The fact that Baker did follow Tom and did all that is pretty impressive because I forgot that he's the first one to follow Tom, and Tom won him a Super Bowl. And Baker's, while he's not been amazing, he's been pretty good, I'd say. I mean, he's had some amazing games. The Packers are offering Jair Alexander a reconstructed contract. No, basically nobody's agreed to the terms yet, but he's currently he is currently the highest paid base salary on the Packers. He's at $16.5 million a season. Green Bay has $28.9 million in cap space for 2025, so obviously they're trying to adjust for that. And Alexander has 2 years left on his 4-year, $84 million extension, so I'm very curious. I need to quit saying I'm very curious. It's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do here because they've been trying to shop him. Nothing's really happened there. Now they're reconstructing the contract. At this point, I assume Jair Alexander's probably going to come back, especially because they did not draft any cornerbacks in the draft other than a 7th rounder. So I'm assuming that Jair at least comes back for this season. Joey Bosa's probably going to be out until training camp with the calf injury. Hopefully he can get that figured out because Joey Bosa just can't stay healthy lately, which sucks. He's a really extremely talented guy. But nothing's coming from it. Apparently, Kirk Cousins could be the backup Steelers quarterback, or I guess contingency plan, if you'll say, according to Jeremy Fowler, if they don't get Aaron Rodgers. Which isn't too shocking either. I assume that I think the Falcons probably will get rid of Kirk Cousins at some point. Now, what will they get for him? I don't know, but you would think that at some point they would just get him out of the locker room just to let Penix fully grow and just not worry about anything behind him. Shout out to AJ Cole. He's getting a 4-year, $15.8 million extension from the Raiders. He has been a really, really good punter. He's earned All-Pro in 2021 and 2023. He also made the Pro Bowl that season. He made the 2022 Pro Bowl as well. And he's been a really good punter for them. So, shout out to... And he's also the kickoff guy, so the fact they were able to sign him back and bring him back, 2 jobs with 1 stone, we like that. Apparently that Jackson Dart wanted to go to number 2, but apparently that who owns it? Deontay Banks. Apparently his asking price was a little too high for the jersey. And so apparently, Banks originally was number 3, but then he switched to number 2 after striking a deal with Russell Wilson. So I'm assuming that if he wanted to change his number from number 2, that's another one of those situations where you have to buy out all your jerseys. And so they can spend the money. So the NFL can basically buy out all the jerseys, spend that money, so then the NFL can reprint. So yeah, I would not be. I think he might end up being 6. Basically, he's basically said he hasn't fully decided on the number, but he will come out and they'll basically announce that before camp. Aaron Rodgers is on the fence on whether he wants to end his NFL career as a Green Bay Packer or not. Yeah, basically, a fan asked him about retiring as a Packer, and he came out and said, I've thought about it, and I don't understand what the reason for that is. At the same time, I grew up a Niner fan, and most of my favorite players retired as a Niner. Jerry Rice, who went 3 other teams, came back and retired as a Niner. So I understand the cool thing about it, but if I didn't do it, would that make a difference of how I'm viewed in the Packers' eyes? Which is a very fair point to make, but I would hope that he would retire as a Packer just because it'd be really basically kind of cool to just end your career with them, even if it's just a little bit of nothingness, damn near, for it's a 1 day of nothingness. And the final thing I want to talk about NFL-wise is Crosby said returning from his ankle surgery is the best feeling on the planet. He said Pete Carroll's come out, Max looks great, he's at full speed. Max has come out and said, it's just been incredible being out there with my teammates and being able to just fully be myself, not hesitate or any type of cut, just cut it loose. It's the best feeling on the planet. I'm having so much fun out here being 100% and no hesitation. Which I will say, coming from a guy who's had surgeries and dealt with injuries myself, that is 100% a good feeling because I won't lie to you. When I got my shoulder surgery, at first I was very nervous about how it was going to affect my playing career because it's like, man, am I even going to be able to play normal anymore? First couple practices were rough, and then the more, as you get to trust it more, as you get used to it more, it becomes a thing where it's like, this isn't that bad. And it turns out, I won't lie to you, it's been a blessing in disguise. Not even disguise. It's just been a blessing to get it fixed. Because I won't lie to you, I dealt with the point where it just randomly pop out doing stuff. So I'm sure if he got surgery on his ankle was pretty bad to the point where it hurt a lot. So just the fact that, obviously it's going to hurt here and there more, but it's more of it's a different type of pain. Because now it's a pain from it just aches. Instead of being actually painful because it's messed up. And that has to be a great feeling. And for a guy who's probably as tough as Mason Crosby is, he's going to find a way to easily get past that. So that's going to do it for the NFL portion. I have 5 or 6 things I want to bring up when it comes to college football. So that's all. It's going to be a quick one here. Notre Dame, Wisconsin are going to get Sunday kickoff for for 2026 at Lambeau Field. The 2 schools announced Wednesday that they'll be facing off at the home of the Green Bay Packers on September 6, 2026. It'll be televised on NBC. Oh, does that mean that's They played this game at Soldier Field. Notre Dame beat Wisconsin 41-13 in 2021. Isn't that during the NFL season though? Like, isn't that? I'm not gonna lie. That's gonna be a really late start for the NFL if September 6, 2026 is Sunday. I mean, that's gonna be a really, really. I know we're talking way ahead, but let's take a quick look at 2026. Yeah, if you look at September 6, 2026, that's the first week of September. So unless they're starting the NFL season a week later, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's going to be a college football game on with NFL games. Could be wrong about that, but I'm fairly sure that's actually what's going to happen. So that's going to be something very, very interesting that we're going to have to remember for 2 seasons from now. Because this schedule's out so good. Apparently, a woman is suing QB for BYU. I want to make sure. Jake Retzloff for an alleging rape and some other stuff that's happened apparently a year and a half ago. All I'm going to bring up about it, just so people are aware of it. So just keep an eye out, see if anything changes from that. College football is moving to a straight seeding model, which is understandable. Teams will be seeded based on their selection committee, and it's 1 through 12. They're also debating doing some changes to a 16-team format, which I wouldn't. What they've talked about, like 5-11 format, where it's like 5 guaranteed, or like 5. That's what? Let's see, 11 bids, 5 auto bids, 11. I forget what the word is, but basically 5 auto bids, and there's 11 other at-large bids. They are at-large, that's the word I was looking for. So there's 5 auto bids, 11 at-large bids. A model I like to actually shout out Tom Fernelli. He brought this up on the Cover 3 podcast. I think it was today, actually, or yesterday, an episode they released. I would love the idea of you can't have any more, I think he said than 4 or 5. But I think I like it where you can have any more than 4 or 5 per conference, but then you basically give the 5. So it's basically automatic bid for the SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, and then you get 2 group. So wait, yes, it's 4, and then you get 2 group of 5s. They get an automatic bid, and then he basically said that because then instead of giving some of these teams 2 buys, which is potentially what they might end up with, 2 weeks of buys, you play one of these automatically in group of 5 teams that we'll probably just blow out anyway, and then if not, maybe play another group of 5 team. I just like the way he brought it out, where it's like, because if we go to 16 teams, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm gonna be pretty annoyed if they put in like 8-9 SEC teams one year. I don't think it'd get that high, but it's just one of those things where it's like the more teams we add, the more it's like, all right, let's throw more SEC teams in, let's throw more Big 10 teams in. It's like, and they just came out today and they're gonna try to explain March Madness. I'm kind of over all this expansion. Like, don't get me wrong, 16 for college football might be okay. I still don't even know. I'm barely okay with 14. I just think we get to a point where we start letting too many people in. I mean, the college football season is already turning to the NFL season now, where they have like some of these to make the national championship. We have 16, 17 games. So these games are just getting longer too. It's getting to a point where it's like we're starting to mess with it a little too much. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for expansion if we can do it right. I'm not going to be okay with doing expansion if it's just so we can get more SEC and Big 10 teams in, and it's like, all right, so then it just turns into a Big 10 versus SEC playoffs. That's definitely what I don't want. But also, we don't need to add more spots, because then all it's going to do is cause more drama with, like, oh, how many more group of 5s do we need to throw in? How many more of these lower seeded teams? How do we get Ole Miss in? How do we get this team in? How do we get that team in? It's just one of those things where it's like, we just need to... Can we relax for a little bit? But like I said, they're still trying to figure out this whole college football playoff thing. I do like the straightforward seeding, because you can basically give 1 through 4 bye, which would deservedly so. And if you win your conference championship, you're automatically into the playoffs. Like, I like the think about it. If you automatically win, say you're like the number 3 seed and you win your conference championship, I think that should give you an automatic bye. And that'd be something I'd be intrigued with if they would actually start doing that. But I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see what comes of this college football playoffs. I like the 12-team format. I didn't like how it was formatted last year, but I like the idea of 12 teams because we could definitely get some good matchups. And I don't know. We just need the conference. I mean, we need games to matter still, and that's just the biggest thing is I get scared of. It's the more teams you add in, all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got an 8-4 SEC team in over a 10-1 Big 10 team because of schedule conflicts. And it's like, once we start getting to stuff like that, it's like we probably have expanded it a little too much. Shout out to Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams. They are on the cover game for NC College Football 26. They also made another edition where there's like a shit ton of other people on it. That seems almost like a hodgepodge of stuff, which I thought was really cool. Lane Kiffin came out and he's gone for 16 teams without the best thing he said would be 16 teams, no automatic bids. He said the best thing would be 16 and it would be the best 16, which Yes and no. Like I said, I just don't like the idea of 16. 14, I'm already like kind of like, I don't know about 14, but I think 14, if we are going to expand, makes a bit more sense. But like I said, the start we get the 16, then what's to stop us from getting to 18? What's stopping us from getting to 20? I mean, this is what happens with, like, for example, I don't want to get too deep into it because it's a big thing, but like with Star Wars, there's been multiple people, especially one of the bigger guys I follow, with like Death by 1,000 Cuts, which has been happening in Star Wars, where it's like they do one thing, then they do one thing, and you don't think about it, and all of a sudden we're 8-9 years removed, and it's completely different. You're like, why are we? It's like, for example, this might show my nerd side a little bit, but like your kyber crystals in Star Wars. I know this might be a horrible thing to do on a sports show, but for example, there's a whole thing in like George Lucas explaining in the comics where you have to do all this stuff with your kyber crystal and all that to get it to like bleed red or to become a Sith and all that. And the Acolyte, which is a show I've not seen, by the way, they literally, from what I've seen in the clips, she just screams and it changes color, and it's like, what? And some people aren't even talking about that. And mind you, if this happened because we don't need to get into it too much, but you know what happened if you're somewhat of a Star Wars fan with the sequel movies, like, you see what, like I said, it's Death by 1,000. I just want to use that example. Might not have been the best example because some people might not understand it, but it's Death by 1,000 Cuts, where it's like you keep changing, like, we're saying with the college March Madness, where now they just added another tournament. So there's the NIT, there's the NCAA, not March Madness National Championship, and now there's another tournament on top of that, and they want to expand the tournament. It's just like, man, we're getting to a point where it's like we're starting to do a little too much, man. And if you give a little, you're going to take a lot. Look at what's happening with the whole NIL thing. I mean, shit. Colleges didn't want athletes to get paid for years. Didn't even want them to make a dime. And then they just kept pushing off, doing all this, and now it's to the point where the floodgates are open. It's like, it's taking control of stuff. It's like, we can't let it get too far out of hand, but you can't let it get too far out of hand, but I do understand you got to change the game a little bit. You got to try some expansion and stuff. But like the NFL, I'm still not a fan of the NFL kickoff. I don't think. I wish we would just go back to the old kickoff. But like I said, it's just one of those things where it's like, what's to stop us if we get 6 teams in? What's to stop us from starting with 20 teams and all that? Like I said, I don't think it'll get that bad, but I think you get what I'm saying, basically, right? And the final thing I want to talk about, which I think is probably the best news of the day, and I'm the happiest I could end on this. Mike Leach is now eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame. And this is something I was very, very happy. I'm very happy about they made the change on. We talked about this 2-3 years ago when he passed away. He'll be eligible with the class of 2027, and there's no doubt he's going to probably be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He basically invented the air raid. He unexpectedly died in 2022. He's referred to as the Pirate. He's credited with constructing one of the most prolific versions of the air raid offense at collegiate level, which obviously more people followed with him. And it's always funny. I mean, Mike Leach was one of those great guys. And, I mean, you see clips of Mike Leach. I mean, he's making people laugh. He's just a great guy. I mean, he's one of those guys as a football coach. Like, not only is he an intelligent, super smart football guy, he's a great human, too. I mean, if you could just see it by all the messages that came out when he passed away and all that, all the stories that came out. He was just a great guy. So, shout out to Mike Leach for that. But like I said, the changes they made. So now it used to be you needed a minimum of a 600 winning percentage. They now bumped it to 595 because for Mike Leach, he's 158 and 107 overall, which I believe goes out to about that math. We can do that real quick. Yeah, so if you do his math, he is 158 and 107 in 21 seasons at Texas Tech 2000-2009, Washington State 2012-2019, and then he was at Mississippi State from 2020 to 2022. He has a career record of 59.62, and like I said, he is one of the creators of the most prolific air raid in college football. One of the most important people in the history of college football as well, and he coached for over 30 years. This is one of those things where I'm very happy the committee, because there was everyone immediately with the outrage, like, make an exception, put Mike Leach in, make an exception, put Mike Leach in. So instead of making an exception, I like to just said, hey, we aren't bending our morals too much. 5'9", what's it? Now, is there a real big difference between 5'95" and 600, like a 5.595 and 0.600? I mean, yes, if you really want to get into it, yes, there is a difference, but I think there's not enough difference for a guy like this not to put him in the Hall of Fame. So just shout out to college football for doing something right and being like, hey, this is an easy change. This is an easy change, easy win. Easy win, just put him in the Hall of Fame. And I would think that if he wasn't deserving, they wouldn't go to these lengths to do this. But I think that Mike Leach is very deserving, so it makes a lot of sense that they're trying to do this for their guy. thank you all for watching today's report. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, it's crazy to think that we're 98 days away from NFL football kicking off. So that means we're going to do breakdowns. Basically, how I'm going to do it is I'll still go over some NFL news, college football news. That'll be the first half of the show. But then the second half of the show we'll break down 2 teams every Tuesday and Thursday, assuming I go 2 days. I know I want to go to 3 here soon. I'm not sure when I want to start going to 3. I might do that a little bit closer to like July, August, when it's like a lot more to talk about. But basically, we'll try to go, and I might run out of time for breaking down stuff. But basically, it's going to, like I said, we're going to do 2 teams a day, a whole division a week. So, for example, the first one I'm probably going to do is the AFC South, just because it's the division I know the most about. It's the division I pay the most attention to because my Colts are in it. And just basically that. So, yeah, for example, so if we do the AFC South Tuesday, we'll go over some NFL news, college football news. Then it's Colts-Jaguars. Thursday, we'll go over, obviously, the Texans and then the Titans. I don't know why it took me so long to remember that. And then the next week, we'll do the same thing, where it's like, all right, we'll go over some NFL news, college football news to start. Then we'll say it's the NFC North, and we'll go Bears, Vikings, Packers, Lions. So basically like that, where we can break down 2 teams. That way, no, I don't make every episode super, super long. Or if the episode starts to get long, I feel like, oh, I'm running long. Let me just stop talking about stuff and cut it short. I think if you do 2 teams, if it's a 20-minute episode, it's a 20-minute episode. I might not be taking too much. If I do 2 teams, it allows me to go a little bit more in depth. Really look at some of the rosters, look at like guys, what they might be able to do. But because, yeah, basically what we're going to do is we're going to go over their schedule. We're going to go over the 2 deep. We're going to go over my projections for the team. And then we're going to go over just futures. Look at some futures, see if there's any cool stuff that's out. Like, oh, Ashton Gency, you do this for the Raiders. I like that. Let's take that, which is, I won't lie to you, I do like Ashton Gency's rushing over. A little bit. I don't know if it's still, I think it's changed a lot. It came out, I think, around like 1050 or 1060. I really liked it there, and then it moved to like, last I looked, it was like almost 1070 to 1080, and it's like, that's a little bit more. But basically stuff like that, where we'll go over, like, they have passing props. So it's like, all right, let's go over the rushing props for this person, the rushing props for that person. That's basically, yeah, Ashton Gency's up to 1075 now. But yeah, basically that's what we're going to do. So that's what it's come down to. It's like I said, I think I'm going to start it next week. Not 100% sure. If I don't start it next week, for sure going to do it the following week. But I'm pretty confident we'll start it next week with anything. Maybe just take a break in between. But be on the lookout next week for some division breakdowns with, like I said, we got to get ready to take futures, props. I mean, there's going to be, it's going to be fun, man. We got to get locked in because, like I said, there's only 98 days until the football season. We might as well get the future. The dogs are barking, man. We need to get them long odds ready. But we might as well get ready, man. 98 days till the football season. I want to try to have all my futures in. Damn near, like, I won't lie to you. I want to try to have all these futures in like 2 to 3 weeks before the season starts. So basically, all I'm worrying about those first 2 weeks is like, all right, what does college football week 0, week 1 look like? What does NFL week 1 look like? Thank y'all for watching. Thanks for the support. I really do appreciate it. I will see everyone back in this feed on Tuesday for either some more NFL news and college football or NFL news and college football news with a breakdown.